Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced on Friday that he would be signing the state's law allowing college athletes in Florida to receive endorsement and sponsorship money. Now, that law would go into effect on July 1st of 2021. In his remarks announcing his signature on the bill, DeSantis promoted Florida's college programs and highlighted how Florida schools could now be even more attractive for students. That is, of course, assuming that the NCAA doesn't act before Florida's law goes into effect. And given the NCAA's push in recent months, that is a bold assumption. The NCAA's Board of Governors said it would endorse sweeping changes to its current rules that prohibit athletes from making money off their own names and images. And for more on this, let's bring in CBS Sports college football analyst Dennis Dodd. Dennis, I guess let's just start with the obvious thing here. What does this mean in terms of how college athletes can be paid moving forward?
Yeah, the fact that Ron DeSantis signed this bill in itself is not a surprise. We knew it was coming any day. What it does is put the NCAA on the clock. You referenced it in the run-up there. They either have to develop legislation by next July 1st or go hand in hand with Congress on federal protection so they can establish those NIL rules to really stiff-arm the states. There are 3 states now that have bills passed. The significance of Florida is that it's first to go into effect. And you already see Ron DeSantis openly, advocating to come to Florida, come play ball here. You can get all kinds of benefits. I talked to Dan Mullen last fall at Florida. I said, "You're going to recruit to this?" And he said, "Absolutely." The problem for the NCAA is if they don't pass legislation or get protection from Congress, they're going to have to fight these state bills state by state. And they simply can't afford that. They can't afford the look that is. So they need some sort of congressional protection. And almost all of these states that are going to have bills, they're much more liberal than what the NCAA is proposing, which doesn't have group licensing, which would bring back the video game, has all kinds of guardrails on it. So this is a warning shot across the bow today at the NCAA.
So for the NCAA, I mean, what's their next step now? Because obviously there is a clock on this because Florida is going to be the first ones out of the gate to do this. So what is the next steps for the NCAA here?
They will, well, the stakeholders, the working group is working now at the NCAA to submit formal legislation, which will be presented in October. That legislation will then be acted upon at their convention in January, which ironically I think is in Washington, D.C. next January. And before then, they need that legislative help from Congress. You've already seen a letter written by the Power 5 commissioners basically leapfrogging the NCAA a couple of weeks ago, writing to Congress and saying, hey, we need help now. We can't wait for legislation. Because the NCAA is behind the 8 ball in this antitrust stuff. They've lost 2 huge antitrust cases since 2014, which means they've been called a monopoly. They've been ruled a monopoly. They can't even hint of trying to limit some of this income that these players are going to get. And there's a huge issue of recruiting. What do you do about unscrupulous boosters?
And on top of the pressure for the NCAA, what about other states now, Dennis? Because you talk about how this could be used as a recruiting tool for Florida. They're jumping ahead of California, who were the first ones out of the gate. So how much pressure does this put on other states, particularly P5 states, where there are P5 schools, to get in on this?
Well, there are, I think, 34 or 37 states either considering or they have laws passed to this effect right now. See, the danger here for the NCAA is this is an issue that is really bipartisan. Everybody can get behind it, both sides of the aisle, no controversy. Student-athlete welfare? Great, looks good for me and my district. More money for the athlete? Great, the NCAA is evil. That's the perception. I'm not saying I think that, but that's why these things are rolling through. So when you've got 34 or 37 states, which again are much more liberal than what the NCAA is proposing, they're going to need some help. And I talked to Gabe Feldman, he's a law professor at Tulane. Maybe one of the safeguards for the NCAA is Congress in this process just puts a stop to all the state bills, a temporary hold, a stay, if you will, so until the NCAA can figure this out. But we'll see. There's a lot of senators and congressmen and representatives really interested. I know of at least 3 bills that are being considered right now.
We saw a list of all the Florida schools in terms of, how this could benefit. I mean, from a recruiting standpoint, from a competition standpoint, where does that put the state of Florida when it comes to competition for athletes as it stands right now?
Well, right now ahead. Look, I told you everything that has to happen before it goes into effect. If I'm Dan Mullen right now, or I'm Manny Diaz, or if I'm Mike Norvell, I'm just saying, hey, here's the number. We can hook you up with these sponsors. You can come here and sell your autograph for whatever it's worth. Between now and then, when the season starts or when they sign or when they get on campus, by next July 1st, that could change. But they can absolutely, ethically, we got a better deal in Florida, University of Florida, Florida State, Miami, than anybody else in the country, because as of right now, pending this bill, you guys can get paid.
And obviously, if you're a high school athlete right now and you're hearing this news and you know you're going to be going to a big-time college program, you got to be pretty excited when you're hearing some of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, look, part of this is not the fact that, you can do your autograph or endorse a product or something. If you have a business idea, you can put it on YouTube and earn money from it. You talk about Trevor Lawrence. The NCAA hasn't even begun to wrap its head around what social media means. I thought I saw projections that a Trevor Lawrence, now he wouldn't be involved in this. His eligibility is going to expire. But his participation in this, he would draw upwards of $500,000 just in social media. We're not talking about his autograph or anything else, commercials or endorsements. And you know what? There's a lot of people that don't have a problem with that. If he's that popular, let him get it. And the problem for the NCAA is, and you've already seen some pushback from some schools, is in terms of that professionalizes those athletes. Trevor Lawrence would be getting paid for his athletic talents. It's as simple as that.
He is senior college football writer Dennis Dodd joining us to talk about the fact that Florida are looking to jump the queue a little bit and get in and allow athletes to start getting paid for likeness and image starting in 2021. Of course, they'll be talking all about this on the Cover 3 podcast. All the latest in college football is what they discuss, and they'll certainly be all over this as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Friday announcing that he is going to be signing the state's law allowing college athletes in Florida to receive endorsement and sponsorship money. The date right now that law would go into effect is July 1st of 2021. So we'll see what happens with that. So breaking news on HQ.
It'll be really interesting. That is it for this hour, but stay tuned because we have coverage of the Charles Schwab tournament. A lot of things are moving right now. Stick with us.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.